So on my channel, I've taken a pretty strong stance by saying that I think Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world right now. That take didn't come out of nowhere. I just thought Joel Embiid was dominating the game in a way that I didn't think anybody else was doing at the time. Although I wasn't completely incorrect, I overlooked what Nikola Jokic was bringing to the game in every way. But I've been awakened, and like I said in the past, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I'm not afraid to right my wrongs. I'm standing on Nikola Jokic right now as the best out, especially because of his historic playoff run. It's very clear who the best player in the NBA is right now. Typically on my channel, I've been focusing a lot on NBA reactions, of course being able to give my professional opinion, but I also want to introduce some new things on the channel, doing different reactions to other content creators out there while giving them, of course, their credit on their videos or whatever I'm reacting to, and just bringing it to my audience as well and giving my opinion on it also. So today's video is by Hooper's Lane, and I'll put all the information in the description for y'all to check them out and to be able to go over to their page and give them the same love and same support that y'all might do here. So let's lock in. Let's get right into the reaction. But before we do that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts on this type of reaction video as well. I'm going to be doing some polls and different things in my community tab for y'all to let me know what type of content y'all want to see moving forward, apart from the reactions on the NBA games. So y'all got to let me know. All right, let's go for real. Let's go.
Does the MVP have to have Kobe Bryant's footwork? Does the MVP have to be super fast? Why did Embiid really win MVP? He asked the media, what else do I have to do? Joel Embiid's stats are dipping again in the postseason, while Nikola Jokic looks better than ever. So are voters going to regret picking Embiid as their 2022-23 MVP?
I think so.
We'll tell you why. But first, let's break down their postseason stats. While both teams handled business in the first round of the NBA playoffs, one player looked a lot better than the other, and it wasn't the freshly crowned MVP. Jokic's Nuggets beat the Timberwolves in 5, behind 26 points, 12.4 rebounds, and 9 assists per game, while hitting 50% of his 4.4 3-points per game. He followed that up with an incredible performance to start to the Suns
It was an
round 2
incredible
series,
thing
averaging
to
an
watch.
insane 36.5 points, 14 rebounds, and 9.5 assists per game through the first 4. He's been able to do whatever his team needs to win: scoring, rebounding, and controlling the floor.
Trying to back down AE. One of the all-time 2-game.
I'm going to stop here for the first time. But I know a lot of people might say that, you know, Embiid wasn't like fully healthy, of course, in the playoffs and everything. But it's undeniable to say who was the most dominant player in the playoffs so far. Like, it's not even been a question. And even when I broke down the stats in the past, putting them side by side, I'll put the graphic up here. Even for the regular season, Joel Embiid basically only beat Nikola Jokic in like 3 categories or something like that. Nikola Jokic was better in every other metric. And that was when I decided that I was on the wrong side of the argument. Because if you're talking about value and what you bring to a team, there's no question. But seeing his numbers and stuff like actually out, like, bro, if this was any other player, we would be talking about this like crazy.
Embiid's Sixers swept the Brooklyn Nets in round 1, but they were a team that snuck into the playoffs after trading away their 2 best players.
They were not a good team.
It was supposed to be a sweep. He spent 2 straight games injured, his Achilles heel throughout his career. After TNT announced he was our newest MVP, he failed to live up to expectations by putting up a measly 15 points in a 23-point loss.
Yeah. And I'll give him, that happens. As players getting back on the floor for the first time after being out and after coming back from an injury, you're not thinking about the MVP, whatever. You're thinking about just getting your mind back to normal. This is what you have to overcome the most after you get an injury. Like him feeling like comfortable on the floor, getting the same reads, making the same moves, that comes with time. So that first game, I don't hold that against him.
During this postseason, Embiid's down 10 points per game compared to the regular season, only making 13% of his threes. Jokic, on the other hand, is besting his regular season marks these playoffs. This is the same story as the past 5 years for both players. So did the voters get it wrong? Before we get into that, let's break down the requirements to win the NBA's Michael Jordan Trophy
I would love
for
to
the
see
most
this.
valuable player. Historically, MVP requirements have been pretty vague. Following this season, the NBA will be adding a 65 minimum games played requirement, hopefully keeping players from sitting out games in the name of load management.
That's going to change a
But we still
lot.
don't have a clear idea of what most valuable means. Does it mean this year's best player, the undisputed alpha dog? If that were the case, Kobe Bryant would have a shelf of trophies, not just his one. Does it mean the league's most irreplaceable
true.
player, the one who best elevates his teammates? No, there's not a real way to gauge that. Is it the best player on the best team? It's not that either. That wouldn't lend itself to a very interesting MVP race. It's a mix of the three, and voters have to decide how to weigh each one. But wait a second, how about the way their game looks? Really? Does how their game look really matter? According to Keyshawn Johnson, Jokic is just too boring and too slow for him to win MVP.
He's boring to me, and I've been saying it since day one.
That's so
Boring to me. I don't
stupid,
like
bro.
It looks just, I don't care if he scores 100. I don't like it.
Key,
Doesn't look good to me.
it looks dope.
Yeah, it looks
Bro,
fake.
these the people that get to comment and make so much money on TV to make a take that he shouldn't be the MVP because he's boring. That's so stupid and elementary, bro. What the hell?
I admit it.
Talking about?
What are you talking about,
Seen
bro?
his passes?
That's the thing.
Have you watched the game?
I mean, it may not look great to you
The
like when
passing takes forever to get to the other side.
if you ever watch
That's
him play
embarrassing.
It's
ball
so
like it's
That's
so-
embarrassing.
like he's
That's
tipping a
ESPN.
volleyball,
I
like-
understand, Jay. I get
Kidding
it.
me?
It just doesn't. And you know, I've been saying this since day one. Everybody done ran up and down the court 5 times. He's just crossing the half-court line. I mean, it's just slow.
All right,
so,
look.
well, you're a Jokic hater.
Does the MVP have to have Kobe Bryant's footwork? Does the MVP have to be super fast? If that's the case, De'Aaron Fox could have been a top candidate. Regardless of how the Joker's gameplay is, the way a player's game looks shouldn't matter.
look at that
This
pass.
year,
Good
Embiid's
God.
leading 33.1 points per game and hard-nosed defense on the East's third-best team was enough to earn him the 76ers' first MVP since Allen Iverson in 2001. The last 2 years, Jokic's ability to carry a couple injury-riddled Denver teams gave him the nod. But we do know one thing that's absolutely certain. The MVP is a regular season award.
Yeah,
we don't care
that's
about
true.
playoffs, and we don't care about past performance.
That's true.
All that matters
That's true.
is that single regular season. Ultimately, it's up to the voters to neglect everything they've seen outside of that 82-game window. Neither one of these players has won
That's
a
true, but that's why I mentioned the metrics. Like,
6'10", both can shoot the three, run the floor, and both
For the
are very
regular season.
challenged at the defensive end.
Davis taking on Jokic.
Jokic's closest call was a Western Conference Finals appearance in the 2020 bubble, losing out to the eventual champion Lakers.
Let's go
Embiid
Lakers.
hasn't even made it that far. He almost made the Eastern Conference Finals in 2019, but Kawhi Leonard hit that insane
this
buzzer
shot was
beater in
just
Game
so
7 to
criminal,
send it
bro.
back to Philly. Now the Nuggets are back.
That
in the
lovely
NBA's
ball of
Final
the
Four
tears,
against
bro.
The Lakers once again, but the 76ers are not. Another failed opportunity for Doc Rivers, Joel Embiid, and James Harden, as they lost a crucial Game 6 at home, being up 3-2, to eventually getting dominated by
Hey.
Jason Tatum's Game 7 51-point performance in
Man.
Boston. But those aren't supposed to matter in the MVP race. So if your
Nah, that was a
argument
crazy
for
game.
Jokic over Embiid is playoff success, think again. When voting for MVP, there's more than just playoff statistics to ignore. All season long, talking heads are spewing rhetoric, fair or unfair, about each candidate.
That's true.
While trying to hype up their pick, they usually end up tearing down the opposition
Mm-hmm.
as a result.
and I'll be honest, I'm definitely a victim of that because I live in France. Like, I don't get to watch ESPN live. I don't get to watch most of the games live. Nothing live. Everything comes on really late, and I don't have the channels and all that other stuff. So sometimes when I tune in, it almost is like a subconscious thing where they almost convincing you to believe things that you might not believe. And I would definitely say I feel like that was the case for Joel Embiid. Of course, I thought that he was a better MVP simply because I thought he brought a lot more on the defensive end as well. I thought that he had a pretty much an overall game that I was like, yeah, I get it. But they were heavily favoring him like crazy. I'm a person that like to be objective. I don't just like to be one-sided and just look at something on the other side. I feel like those are the worst people to have conversations with. But I don't think even throughout the whole history, Nikola Jokic don't get no love on the mainstream.
Occasionally, it can get really nasty. That's exactly what happened with Kendrick Perkins.
Nah, this was the stupidest take of all time.
Since 1990, there's only been 3 MVPs that wasn't top 10 in scoring that won that award. Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and Jokic. Now, what do they have in common?
He claimed that Jokic only won MVP the last 2 years because of his skin color. He falsely claimed that a huge majority of voters were white, a claim that his own ESPN quickly debunked. Embiid finished second each of the last 2 seasons, having to watch from home while Nikola Jokic hoisted the MVP trophy. According to Perkins, that's exactly how the white voters wanted it. It's pretty unlikely that voters took Big Perk to heart, allowing his feelings on the matter to sway their vote. If anything, it probably delegitimized his argument. He's made a career out of saying ridiculous things in a loud, boisterous manner, seeking to get views rather than to give legitimate insight. So if Perkins didn't sway the voters,
I hate analysts like this.
Before we get to
I hate anybody that's saying anything just to get views, bro. That's so weak. You will say the stupidest things because you know it'll get a rise out of people. Like, annoying as hell.
Let's break down the statistical resume for each candidate. Jokic almost became the third player in NBA history and the first non-point guard to average a triple-double for an entire season. He put up 24.5 points on an 63% shooting, nailing 38% of his threes, along with 11.8 rebounds and 9.8 assists per game.
Mans can't jump over a piece of paper and all he does is rebound.
His team
Crazy.
needed him to score less than they used to. Star guard Jamal Murray was out the last year and a half. And with his return to form this season, Jokic was able to
he was the reason why the Lakers lost.
Floor general. His 9.8 assists per game
shout out to
by
Jamal
far
Murray.
career high. His team won 53
had 30
games,
every
most in
game.
the Western Conference. They were the best team in the league for the majority of their season, but chose to rest players down the stretch as they had a pretty firm grasp on the top seed in the West. Jokic played 69 games this season, a career
I could watch
low,
these
but
highlights
this
all
was
day.
Also, the first time he wasn't fighting for playoff seeding. Embiid, on the other hand, was a dominant force offensively.
He was.
He perfected every aspect of his offensive game, dominating the post, getting to the rim at will, hitting it from the outside, and making the second most free throws in the league, only behind Oklahoma City's SGA. His 33.1 points per game were the most by a center since Bob McAdoo in 1975.
Wow.
In the history of the sport, only Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and McAdoo had higher scoring seasons.
That ain't bad people to be mentioned with.
His team's record to third best in the East. They won 54 games, more than Jokic's Nuggets, but they were also forced to keep fighting down the stretch to retain their home court advantage while Jokic could rest. So both players had incredible stats, leading their teams to similar regular season results. It's nearly impossible to compare the two outright. They're vastly different players. But what about their teammates? Who means more to their team? Embiid is playing beside James Harden, former MVP turned exceptional second banana, Tyrese Maxey, a microwave scorer, Tobias Harris, who gives you a little bit of everything, and PJ Tucker, the 37-year-old glue guy. Jokic plays with Murray, a borderline superstar, Michael Porter Jr., one of the league's most talented young players, Aaron Gordon, an underrated asset, and a lot of above-average role players. But the stats don't lie. When Jokic didn't suit up this season, his team went 5-8. The Sixers, on the other hand, went 11-5 in the regular season without Joel Embiid. So can you really say he was more valuable to his team? Why did Embiid really win MVP? There are two big reasons Embiid won MVP this season, and neither are great. First off, he's been campaigning for the award to no end. Last season, he asked the media, "What else do I have to do?" when he lost out on his second straight trophy. His coaches, teammates, and even the GM, Daryl Morey, pleaded toward the media to give him the award he deserved. Anything less than being crowned the season's best player was treated as disrespect. You can't really blame him. That's an incredible honor that many historical greats haven't earned. Jerry West, Dwayne Wade, Elgin Baylor, John Havlicek, and many other top-tier icons never won the award. And when TNT announced his victory, the joy in Embiid and among his teammates was palpable.
MVP from the Philadelphia 76ers.
Jokic, on the other hand, repeatedly told media that
he don't care.
about the award.
I never play basketball to win an individual award.
When he started sitting games at the same time Embiid was putting up massive numbers, he proved his point. The second reason he won is the same reason Michael Jordan, after whom the award is now named, only won the award 5 times despite a decade of dominance. Voter fatigue. It's really hard to win the MVP twice, let alone 3 times in a row. To win consecutively, you not only have to best your competition, but the previous version of you. Did 2023 Jokic beat out 2022 Jokic? Apparently not, according to the voters. Voters also take legacy into account, even though they're supposed to just focus on the regular season. But if Jokic won his 3rd straight MVP, he would suddenly be mentioned in the same breath as Larry Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, and Bill Russell, the only other players to win 3 straight MVPs. Is it fair?
Bro,
that's
so crazy when you put it like this. I love how you're breaking this down. Why does that matter? If somebody deserves it, why does it matter what legacy, with this, with that? Why does that matter? Like, bro, what? And the campaigning thing, bro, the only thing we heard since last year, oh, Embiid, he felt robbed, he this, he that. Like, bro, I didn't have no opinion last year at all, to be honest with y'all. I wasn't surprised that Jokic won it. He deserved it. And honestly, this year, he deserved that too. But he don't care, bro.
Sway the MVP vote? Either way, Jokic being named the league's 2nd best player is no insult. Just like it wasn't an insult when Embiid finished 2nd the last 2 years. Both players had incredible, historic seasons that aren't going to be forgotten anytime soon. But just like with Jordan, Bird, and every other all-time great, the legacies of Jokic and Embiid are going to be forged by postseason success.
That's true.
Do you think media campaigning and voter fatigue played a part in Embiid's first MVP? Let us know in the comments. For more NBA content, check out The Wrong Opinion, useless NBA trivia, and garbage rankings wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for watching Hooper's Lane.
Shout out to Hooper's Lane. First time reacting to that video. Really like what he did there. Really like the breakdown. Really like the insight. Shout out to them. I guess my only opinion on the situation is that, I mean, I feel like there was definitely a campaign for Joel Embiid to not miss out on the award again. I fell victim to it. I admit that I was wrong. I was focusing on the wrong things. When I started to focus on impact, when I started to focus on the numbers, my opinion changed. Like, yeah, Embiid cannot be denied for what he did this year. But, bro, when you talk about value, I wish they would just define what value means, or valuable. Like, if you're talking about who's the most valuable player for their team, how can you not say it's Jokic? Everything runs through him. Every pick and roll runs through him. Their pace is because of him. Everything. Like, bro, he is the most valuable player on his team. Like they said, look at the differences. When Jokic isn't playing, his team is worse. When Embiid isn't playing, they went 11-5. Like, bro, what? Like, you talking about value for your team? How could you argue that? I think it's just too many metrics going into place for who could be the MVP. There's like, people are worrying about how he plays, play style, this and that and that. Like, bro, break down the numbers, break down everything else and decide. I just think it's just messy, low key. Like, the media is literally like swaying your mind without you even thinking. And that's just weird to me. Just look at it from a perspective of who deserves the award based on what their value is for their team. Who's winning games. Like, bro, all that has to go into effect. But hey, y'all let me know your thoughts down below. I thought Nikola Jokic was robbed. It took me a while to get here, but I'm here now. And I'm standing on it. And if y'all want to talk about it, let's talk about it down in the comments as we always do. Y'all know I'm down in the comments. Let me know if y'all enjoyed this video. And also let me know what type of videos I want to see in the future. Make sure to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 5,000 subs. Let's get to 5,000 subs, ladies and gentlemen. Love you all to death. Until the next video. Peace.